Heat stroke is one of the leading causes of death in all dog breeds all across the world. We're right in the middle of summer, folks. If you're not paying attention and you don't understand the 3 warning signs that we're going to give you today, your dog can die from heat stroke.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
And even if you catch it in time, and even if you get them to the vet, did you know it's a 50% mortality rate, even if you do everything right? So stay tuned, buckle up, pay attention. The stuff we're going to teach you in this video is going to absolutely save lives. Let's get into it. Warning, before we go any deeper into this video, my attorneys would like me to advise you that even though I'm a licensed professional dog trainer, I am not a licensed veterinarian. So even though we're going to give you a ton of educational material with over 20 years of experience as a police canine handler in sunny, hot as hell South Florida, you still have to consult with your vet before you perform or practice any of the techniques we're going to show you. But we are going to dive in deep, discuss the 3 warning signs that your dog's about to get heat stroke, how to prevent heat stroke, and God forbid if your dog is heat stroking, the life-saving techniques you're going to have to perform to make sure that they do not die. All right, so it's the middle of summer in Charlotte. It's 85 degrees out, though it says it feels like 90. We're going to let these pups play, and we're going to monitor their progress and identify the 3 warning signs of heat stroke, and we're going to follow along and see how long it takes. Free. All right, they're going to play with each other, and as they exercise and do all of this, they're going to obviously building up a lot of heat. They're not going to be sweating, and we're going to see how long it takes for them to start showing those warning signs of heat stroke as they come up. All right, we're only 3 minutes in of playing, and we're already well into stage 1, which is panting, and on our way to stage 2. So stage 1's pretty straightforward. Everybody knows if your dog's panting, they're a little hot. Nothing to be too worried about. Stage 2 is when that panting is starting to get a little more serious, but more importantly, you need to pay attention to the shape and size of the tongue. What we're looking at here is the beginnings of what we would call shovel tongue. That means the end of the tongue is starting to engorge a little bit, a lot of blood getting in there. They're trying to cool themselves off, and you're going to see that heart-shaped end of the tongue. So why are we even talking about this? That's because if your dog suffers from heat stroke, there is a 30 to 50% mortality rate, meaning even if you catch it in time, even if you get them to the vet and you know what you're doing, 30 to 50% chance that your dog actually dies from this. And even if they survive, they can have lifelong symptoms that will never go away. We're talking about reduced kidney and liver function, neurological orders, and they can heat stroke even easier in the future. Just like humans, if a human heat strokes, they're very prone to overheating and can't even go outside and exercise like a normal human, or in this case, a normal dog. So we want to think about that. Now, why is it that dogs heat stroke so easily? Well, it's pretty straightforward. They have those long coats. He's a black dog, so that sun's just beating on him. Even when I touch his skin right now, I mean, we are very warm to the touch. Furthermore, the biggest reason being they do not have sweat glands, so they don't have that nature's cooling like we do as humans. No matter how much water they drink, they're not going to just cool off automatically. The way dogs cool off, if you didn't know, is through their panting. How is that? All that hot air is supposed to leave their body, and then they need to inhale that cool air and cool down. But if it's summertime and it's hot as hell out, they're only inhaling other hot air. In other words, they're not cooling down whatsoever. And so once a dog's body temperature goes from that normal 101, 102 degrees and spikes around 106, 107, you are talking minutes before death. So it's our job as competent owners and trainers telling you what you need to look for so that you can keep them cool and so that they don't hit that heat stroke, because once they hit it, there's no recovering from it. It is a very quick, steep downhill path to nothing good. All right, folks, we're only about 8, maybe 9 minutes in, and we're already deep into stage 2 territory. What are we looking at? Those tongues are really starting to shovel out. They're getting very extended, and it's actually a pretty nice day out. Again, only 85 degrees, super breezy. Imagine if there was no breeze, they'd already be cooked. Now, this is where you need to start paying attention. They're already putting themselves on a timeout, but there's no really shade to be seen right here. This is where we definitely want to get water. If I want to keep them playing, we got to hose them down. We got to take that 5, 10, 15, 20-minute break before we play round 2. But if you're not paying attention that you're already deep into stage 2 and you keep playing, then we're going to get deep into stage 3 territory. We're going to show you what it's all about. So again, normally I wouldn't do this. We're going to go ahead and do it now anyways, just to show you what happens. So they're going to go ahead and play. Yes. And we're just going to keep working them. We'll come back, show you what stage 3 is. Good boy. An ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. Rather than taking your dog on some long death march through your suburban neighborhood on that blacktop when it's 100 degrees out, you might want to consider some water activities over the summer. We're talking about busting out that slip and slide, the hose with the sprinkler, a pool, a kiddie pool, maybe playing by the lake. Our next video, only if you subscribe, baby, you're gonna see how we teach professionally puppies and dogs how to swim in the water. So if you do it wrong, they're gonna hate it and they can drown. If you do it right, they're gonna absolutely love the water, and you're gonna have a lot of structure control in and around that water so that they don't drown. So hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video. Now, back to our current video. All right, we're about 15 minutes in and we're getting into that stage 3 territory. The tongue's getting so big and engorged with blood, and it's so heavy that it's gonna start to kick out to the side. We're not there yet, but we're getting very close. Now we're like, oh, let's just cool off here on the black asphalt. No, free. I want them out of here. Now, why is that? Follow me with this thermometer. I told you it's about 85 degrees out. Right now it's saying the grass, somewhere like 75 to 80, 81. Now let me show you what happens here on the white top. Follow me. The white top's at least 106, 107 degrees. Let's look at the black top. The black top is 122 degrees and climbing. You guys got to think about that. If you don't walk around with a thermometer or a temperature gauge, that I don't recommend you do, just put your hand on it and ask yourself, do you want to lay on that? Now, he found a great place to lay, but I've seen people kind of force their dogs to lay down and cool down as such, and he'll do it. Down. So I think I'm doing my dog a favor by making him lay down and cool down. Not when the temperature on the blacktop is somewhere between 107 to 110 degrees. He is literally just cooking. Remember, we talked about internal temperature of 106, 107 is when things start to go really bad really quickly. So no, I don't want him to cool off on the blacktop. Free. That's idiotic. That's why he's breaking the down. So we want to find grass, we want to find shade, but we're not there yet. All right, folks, we're about 20 minutes into just pretty casual hanging out with the dogs, and they are cooked. But notice I'm walking away from the house because I'm not paying attention to the warning signs. I'm not realizing that Xena is well past stage 2, getting into stage 3. These tongues are getting huge. They're drifting off to the side. They've got really thick saliva coming out, and we're just gonna keep on walking because I'm actually pretty cool. It's a nice breezy day. I'm not sweating. I don't even need a water, but I don't realize that my dogs, if I continue on this path, will heat stroke. How long will it take from here? It's anybody's guess, but another 5 or 10 minutes, it's gonna start to get into the danger zone. So this is where we need to actually find that shade, put them up, and start cooling them down, if not already having done that sooner, so we don't even get to this point. But if you're not paying attention to what signs your dogs are giving you, then you're gonna find yourself in a really bad situation very, very quickly. All right, we're definitely cooking these dogs. If we sit still, they'll start to cool off, which is great, but we truly need to start cooling them off because he's starting to get a little woozy. She can barely even sit up straight. She keeps trying to lay down. They're looking for water. They're looking for some shade. Let's give them what they need because we can't keep playing with fire. Let's show you how to cool a dog down. All right, so the first thing that's obvious is give your dog water. Yeah, that's gonna help cool them down. But again, it doesn't matter how much water you put in their system. Remember, they're not sweating it out, so that's only gonna help them out a little bit. Also, there is such a thing as water toxicity. They can get brain swelling and they can die from drinking too much water. I know it sounds crazy, but this is what will solve their problem. Come here, Bubba. Getting water on your dog from head to toe, but even better, in the armpits and in the groin and on their feet. They actually do have a little bit of sweat glands in their feet, so that helps a little bit, but the blood vessels are gonna be really close to the surface here, definitely in the groin area, and this is where they're gonna start to cool down. Now, everything I tell you that's a tip to help you, if done to the extreme, can actually hurt you. Say, what are you talking about? Wouldn't cooling my dog down with water help them out? Yes, it can, unless you have a dog with a thick double coat, like a Husky, German Shepherd, Alaskan Malamute, and there's so many other breeds, like a Chow Chow. What happens is their coat is so thick, it traps all of that water, and it's like putting a hot, wet blanket on them. Now, pro tip of the day, the hose is your best friend, unless it's been baking in the sun for the last 3 or 4 hours, and it's a black or a dark green hose, and we already checked that when we hit the blacktop, it's like 120 plus. Thanos' coat was 124, it's a black coat. So that water can come out scalding hot. So you wanna check it first, make sure it's not burning your hand. You usually have to run water all the way through for maybe a minute or two, get that cold water, then put it on your dog. Last thing you wanna do is burn your dog with some hot water coming out of the hose. Think about that. If you're not paying attention, it can happen. All right, next big tip of the day. Can you get them into a shaded area? In this case, we got air conditioning in this garage, and in this case, I was thinking ahead, baby, we got the kiddie pool. Now, it's important that if you're gonna use a little kiddie pool like this, that it's not baking out in the sun and that this becomes 115, 120 degrees hot water. Instead, what you want is just a few inches of water that they can get their toes in. Just getting their feet in is enough to start to cool them down. If you can get them to lay down in it, which they might do automatically, this is definitely gonna start to cool them down. We've got the shade, we've got the water, but there's one more thing that can amplify all of that, and that is turning on a fan. If you can get that fan blowing on them with some cool air, that's absolutely gonna work all together. Water by itself is great, but hot water ain't gonna get it. This is what you're gonna need to do. Now, I think it's time to talk about something. If your dog's truly heat stroking, what does that look like? We're talking about the dog's gonna start to have a seizure. They're gonna look really loopy and kind of really out of it, barely able to stand up, falling over, kind of nauseous, dizziness looking. They might be throwing up and they're just really, really out of it. That dog is straight heat stroking. Yes, you need to get them to the vet. But if your very next step is to throw them in the back of a hot ass car and start driving to the vet that's 30 minutes away, you are killing precious time. My suggestion is that you cool them off first. We're talking about water, air conditioning, cool them down with a fan. Get that car, maybe while you're cooling them down, get that car started, let the AC start pumping, then put them in the car so that there's at least a cool ride to the vet. Otherwise, you're just gonna make it worse on your way to the vet's office. And again, once their body temperature hits 106, 107, you're talking minutes before their body starts to shut down. And if your vet's 15, 20 plus minutes away, they're not gonna make it. All right, now let's talk about things you do not wanna do if your dog is starting to heat stroke, and that is to put them in an ice bath. Now you think that would help cool them down, but the problem is it's gonna immediately restrict all those blood vessels, and the blood's not gonna be able to travel through the body the way it needs to and cool them down. Another thing you don't wanna do is kind of an old wives' tale, is to get a wet blanket or a wet towel and put that on them. Yeah, maybe for like the first 30 seconds it cools them off, but then it's just gonna trap all that heat. As you know, a wet towel does not breathe very well. If you think they came up to heat stroke, or they were starting to heat stroke, meaning they were having that seizure, they went into la-la land, they passed out unconscious, cool them down, but you still need to take them to the vet. They can give them an IV. There's so many things they can do to kind of cleanse their system of all the bad toxins and things and the breaking down of their organs and the blood to get them back where they need to be and make sure there's no permanent damage. So yes, I want you to do your work, but I also want you to get them to the vet when it's safe and when it's smart, just as another layer of precaution and safety. It can't hurt. So another tip of the day, you might be one of those folks that carries a whole cooler of beer and not enough water. You run out of water, what you can do, yeah, you can absolutely hose your dog down with some beer if you had to, but maybe you have ice. Put the ice in some kind of towel, something like that, a t-shirt, or get an ice pack and put it right here in their groin and armpit area. That's absolutely gonna cool them down. Maybe you have frozen water bottles. Rather than have them drink that little bit of water that's gonna come out, put this in their armpit, in their groin area, and it's gonna absolutely help cool them from the inside out, which is what we need. All right, folks, now you know the 3 warning signs you gotta watch out for, and if your dog starts to heat stroke, the life-saving measures that you're gonna need to do to make sure that your dog makes it through. Now, having said all of that, you might not be in an area where you have easy access to a pool or a lake. It's so freaking hot out. You might want to consider not taking your dog on that 20 or 30-minute walk on black asphalt. Instead, you might want to keep the activities and adventures happening inside your home. So if you subscribe to our channel, one of our upcoming videos, we're going to do exactly that, show you the tips and tricks we use as professional dog trainers to keep our dogs physically and mentally engaged inside the household in case it's too hot out, or even some places where it's too freaking cold out and snow's 4 foot deep. Now, one more favor I ask of you is check out our amazing suite of online courses available at DIYcanine.com, where we are guaranteeing we're going to help you raise and train the best dog you could ever ask for. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And going back to that share thing, this video is going to save some dogs' lives, so please share this with your grandma, share this with your neighbor, share this with everyone so that they can help prevent their dogs dying from heat stroke. We'll see you on the next one.